I want to welcome you and thank you for tuning in to the Bootz Sports Show. I'm your host, Uncle Bootz, and obviously, Cowboy fans, including myself, are not in a good mood. Last week, we defeated the New York Giants. We kind of had a feeling, we were a little tentative about this game, being it was week 2, and last year, week 2, we stumbled against the Seattle Seahawks and getting dominated pretty much for the most of the game, the entire game. But this year, there were changes promised by your owner, promised by your head coach, and most importantly, promised by your players. So there were some changes that were supposed to go into effect, and we were all putting that on the line week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. Before we get into what happened, I want to first give a shout out to the guys over at YourDailyCowboysFootballFix.com. Guys and gals over there, they do a tremendous job. You can also watch this video in its entirety, amongst other articles, etc. And a host of other Cowboy fans are also a part of that site. The changes, like Sam Cooke, a change gonna come. Cowboy fans, we're still waiting for it, as we were eliminated or defeated by the Kansas City Chiefs 17-16 in a disappointing manner. Me personally, as a fan, I have to calm down, and I've been saying this for years, and it just never happens. But the way I'm wired is I can't beat losses like this, or not necessarily this one, but losses, bad losses. It takes me 4 days, 3 days, mostly by Thursday. If it's a Sunday night game, by Thursday I'll be over it. And it's a shame that it's like that. I wish I could do something different to change it. And unfortunately, I guess as long as I'm a fan, or as long as I'm associated with the Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to have to endure this and feel like this. But it does take me a long time. I'm in a bad mood. I'm angry. I'm not a good friend, husband, father, co-worker. I'm nothing. I'm not good days after games like this. Let's talk about what we saw and what we didn't see. What we saw was, we saw a team go out there, if we have to be honest with ourselves, go out, the Dallas Cowboys, and fight. Okay? I will say that I was so impressed for most of the game with that defense. I saw pressure. I saw perseverance. And at most times I saw domination on more than one accord, whether it was DeMarcus Ware, even George Selvey getting into the mix, Jason Hatcher. I mean, I saw guys making plays from all over the field, mainly the front seven. Sean Lee and Bruce Carter were they all showed up on film. Now, the problem with this game to me was the offense. And I'm sure most of you guys saw the same game. I'll be the first to admit, I'm a big Tony Romo supporter. A big supporter of Tony Romo. I'm not one of these guys that when it goes wrong, dumps it on Tony. Tony will not be any different, regardless of the contract that he signed, if this running game doesn't get situated. The problem with this game, you can point to a whole bunch of different avenues, if you will. The main problem with this game was that we could not get the running game going. And you can blame the play caller, but I blame the running back in this game. Now, I didn't come out really hard on DeMarco Murray week 1 against the Giants, because I thought he left a few plays on the board, a few yards on the board. However, this game, and it wasn't a game where he was going to rush for 100 yards. It wasn't a game where he was going to rush for 80. But I felt 75 and 60 were there in this game. And I'm talking running, not receiving, running the football. He put his head down and took 4 yards instead of trying to stick his foot in the ground and making plays on several occasions. And I think that doing that would have given the offensive play caller, Bill Callahan, confidence that we could run the football. Now, Bill had his hand in it too. Remember, he's calling the plays now, not Jason Garrett. When we got down deep in that game and we needed that last 5 or 6 minutes, 4 minutes, I felt like when we had them spread, if you got DeMarco back there, run a draw play. Don't worry about the time. Don't panic with the timeouts. Run a draw play to keep them honest, to make them not drop. Tony's throwing and everybody's dropping. I just didn't understand why. If DeMarco can't run in a traditional, one single back set, then why not try a draw play? Try other creative ways, design run plays, to get him going. Because when the Kansas City Chiefs knew that we were going to pass the ball and continue to try to pass the ball and abandon the run, it made it so much easier. They were jumping routes. You saw that down the stretch. A couple underthrown passes by Tony, a couple passes thrown by Tony. It was good they were underthrown because there was a guy there to intercept the ball, and we got away with one. And for all you guys that are complaining about that Morris Claiborne call, that Morris Claiborne when he went around and batted the ball, which I thought was the best play, and this is crazy, but I thought that was the best play he's made, even though it was a pass interference call. It was the most confidence he showed and the best play he's made since he was a Dallas Cowboy. I don't care about picking up that interception against the Eagles, picking up that fumble against the Eagles and returning for a touchdown. And I don't care about that raggedy interception he had against the Carolina Panthers in the end zone, a ball that was thrown directly to him. That play showed confidence to jump that ball on a speedy receiver and bat it. Now, I know what the end result was, but if you're complaining to the officials about that play never happens if they don't call an even worse pass interference call on them, on Eric Berry. That was an interception, and that Jason Witten play. That was an interception, and they called the same play that way. Now, hadn't they called that play, I'd have been pissed. But I knew they gave us one with that play. That play, there was no pass interference on that play. That guy got an interception, and that was game over, guys. They're running the clock out. We couldn't stop them anyway. We're running the clock out, maybe even putting more points on the board, maybe the field goal, and we get the ball back with 30 seconds left, need a touchdown to win. And you saw what happened. You saw what our offense looked like. So give them credit. The punter, Colquitt, you saw why he was a Pro Bowl punter. The guy was outstanding. I know we're talking about a punter here, but that field position was awful for us in a large part of that game. Getting the ball inside the 10, inside the 20. It was an awful display in that regard. But the Cowboys still had a chance to win that game down the stretch. They only lost the game by a point. It wasn't like the Seattle game. It wasn't a multi-possession. We didn't go out there and get blown out. But we had chances to win that football game. Des Bryant could not be. And the thing that I look at, it's one game and it's 1 point. It's one game on the road against the worst team in football last year. That kills me. That just bothers me. That on-off switch, however you want to look at it, that top to bottom. I don't like knowing that we are exactly who we were last year, but a team who was the worst team in football went out and beat us in their home. They were the worst team in football last year. So that bothers me because I feel like you got to go out and beat that team. I don't care who they brought in. I don't care who they bring in as a head coach, as a running back. You got to go out and win that game. Now, the team struggled a little bit with the Dallas Cowboys. They struggled a little bit with the mobility of Alex Smith. It got to him early. Now, they made adjustments, and this could be a good game for them because they're going to still have to see some pretty mobile quarterbacks this year, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Michael Vick twice, RG3 twice. They're going to see some pretty mobile quarterbacks, and this should give them at least something on film where they can measure up and say, this is what we're going to have to do in the future as a learning, as kind of a learning tool for them, this defense. I thought the defense was outstanding. Now, I know they, down the stretch, you're talking about the last waning minutes of the game, which I'm going to assume every defense in the National Football League is tired in the last 4 minutes of the game, and they gave up a couple runs. But look who they were playing. They were playing against arguably a top 3 or 4 back in football. Jamal Charles. And that guy looked no better than DeMarco Murray for most of that game. Except when they needed him, like Murray could have done this too. They didn't ever give him the chance to. When they needed him to keep the ball away and keep the clock moving, they got him. And that's when Jamal Charles was at his best, and he looked like Jamal Charles. Hey, I told you, if you watched the previous show, the pregame, we told you how they were good. On the Bootz Sports show, we told you how the Kansas City Chiefs were going to attack the Dallas Cowboys. All short throws, I told you. Short to intermediate stuff, Alex Smith this is why. And let me tell you something else that I didn't understand. And you won't hear this anywhere else. I promise you. No one else is talking about this. We declined 2 penalties. And against a guy who's not throwing the deep ball and hasn't thrown it effectively for most of his career in Alex Smith, I think you put them out there and you accept those penalties. Make it 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20 for them instead of giving them a 4th and 1 and letting them punt the ball. Because I think we get those extra 10 to 15 yards back on the return end of it. And I think that was a bad job by this coaching staff, just conceding that they were going to punt the ball and declining these penalties. So this is a quarterback who I told you is not going to beat you throwing the deep ball. And he didn't. I told you he's going to line up Jamal Charles in the slot. He was going to line him up out wide, and they were going to throw these quick, short slants to him. And the first pass that he caught on their first drive, I don't know who was responsible for him, but he picked up about 25 yards or so on a little swing pass. The cover 2 is supposed to be, or the cover 2 base defense, is supposed to be able. That's what it's for. That little a wheel route that he ran, that's supposed to be covered 2 and 3 times. No one was there. He didn't get touched until the safety started coming down. So those little things I have to work out with, because I tell you what, you don't want to see LaShawn McCoy in that same little swing route coming around. You don't want to see him at all in a situation like that. So I know that's coming down the road, but there are backs that if you can't cover that swing pass, they will make you look silly. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I'm furious that we're not 2-0. I'm not furious that we lost to the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. See, because I don't look at it like that for the most part. I'm furious that we're not 2-0, and there were chances. Dez was unstoppable this game. Now, apparently, for those of you who don't know, Tony Romo did have to take an ejection, and Dez had some issues. I'm going to say when he dove for that pass, I'm going to guess. When he dove for that, and it was a remarkable play. When he dove for that pass, I'm going to say that his back issues started up again. And I'm going to go even further and speculate that they were the same back issues that he had last year, the tightening in his back that kept him out of that Redskins game down the stretch when we needed him. But Dez couldn't be covered. And he went against one of the best corners in the game, which is why I didn't understand the red zone decision to run a screen pass to Terrence Williams instead of throwing the ball high over a 5'9" corner that he could have went up and got the ball over. No question he throws that ball up in single coverage. There was a couple times when he's waiting for the ball, waving for the ball, and Tony decides to go somewhere else with it. I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm not sure why we didn't go at him again. It's hard to argue, though, with a game where your wide receiver has 150 yards receiving and a touchdown on 8 carries, whatever he ended up with, 148 or something like that. It's hard to argue that we underutilized him. But I felt like that was a 200-yard game for Dez. I mean, he drops the wide open. I mean, this is if he catches that touchdown pass, that pass, I'm going to say he outruns the safety to the end zone. But if he catches that deep ball, this is a whole different ball game. I mean, we're sitting here having a whole different show. We're talking about what a scare this was. Oh, the Kansas City Chiefs, boy, they're going to be a tough team in a couple years. Andy Reid did a really good job. Oh, man, Cowboys looking good. 2-0. That ain't the case. But, guys, I will say this. We fought and we stayed in that game. And the defense still, I mean, they provided pressure. You saw DeMarcus Ware look like himself. beating up on a pretty good tackle over there. Brandon Albert did a pretty good job on him. I mean, they had to pull him out the game a couple times, and that's their franchise tackle. That's their franchise player there. So I just want to reiterate my stance on this, or iterate it if I haven't made it clearly. This team is not yet same old Cowboys. I saw some same things, but I think the things that I saw from the play calling were because we were ineffective running the football. And that's going to be an issue because they got a kid who I love in Joseph Randle, who's inactive. You got this Dunbar kid. I know he plays special teams. Came out. He's supposed to be an explosive player, and every time we see an explosive play from him, whether it's the preseason or whether it's the season, he turns the ball over to the other team. Now, I can tell you this, and I promise you this. When this kid Randall, because they will be desperate for him, because you can't have running back games like this. I don't care what the problem is with DeMarco Murray, whether he sees the field or not. He left a boatload of plays on it. He left about 2 long runs on the field. That changes everything. That puts the safety back. It does other, or brings the safety up rather. It does a lot of other things to this game that changes the complexion, where they have to make a choice. Well, do we want this running back popping out on us like this, or do we want to shade that extra guy over to Dez? It changes the complexion of where Tony's looking for. So they got to get the running situation taken care of, and I think Joseph Randle's going to have to be activated in one of these games. So he will make the most of it, because I'm not going to say he's a better back than DeMarco Murray, but he's a better decision maker with the football in his hands. When we're talking about running and choosing holes, choice lanes, things like that, reading blocks. And I mean this year, DeMarco Murray was a different back for us 2 years ago. The guy I see back there now, he's just putting his head down and running forward. It's like he's not even looking to make decisions. He could have stuck his left foot in the ground and cut hard to the sideline. I'm telling you, if you go back, I think it's 12 minutes, 5 seconds to the third quarter, 12:05, something like that. Third quarter, he gets the ball, runs for 4 yards. Should have stuck his foot in the ground and cut outside. They had it blocked up. There's Dwayne Harris up the field blocking, Doug Free. They got guys blocked all inside. All he had to do was just look at the blocking. I mean, I don't know what his problem is, but that's something that's going to haunt Tony. And pretty soon, these Romo runners, these guys that hate Tony and want to run Romo out of town, I call them the Romo runners, these guys are going to be standing at your door, Cowboy fans, screaming for Tony to get out of there if they don't get this running back situation cleaned up. It has to be cleaned up. That's where the game was lost. I mean, when you want to look at how we lost this game, what happened, you can say, oh, the holding call here, the pass interference, oh, the turnover here. The game was lost because we couldn't run the football, and we knew it. See, it's one thing when you don't know you can't run the football. When it's early. When it was early, it looked like Murray was going to have a good day. 4 yards here, 5 yards here, 3 yards here. When you don't know that you can't run the football, you look good. And guess what happened? When we didn't know we couldn't run it, it wasn't yet determined that we couldn't run the ball, Romo was able to throw the ball down the field, throw a nice high pass, arcing touchdown to Des Bryant, catching the back of the end zone. All that looked great. But once that run stopped, once the run stopped, and we knew we couldn't run it, and that's a decision that you make as a coach when you determine we can't run the football. See, that's the decision. Once that decision is made, then you see Tony having to throw the ball every down. I still didn't like that last 5 minutes of that football game. I didn't like us not running the ball at all down there. When you're in that draw situation, you got to hand that ball off and let Murray, even if he picks up, it makes them have to stop dropping everybody back. Somebody has to commit to him. But like I said, a couple plays here, one play here different, and all of a sudden we're talking about, if that pass interference call wasn't called, you're talking about a different ball game. This is a 1-point game. You're not trying to score a touchdown. You're just trying to get in field goal range. So maybe this game will be a blip to the season, and we'll look at it and say, wow, remember that 1 point game we lost. And I still think this team's going to get better. I think you're going to have guys like Anthony Spencer not look overweight like he did on my TV. I don't know what he looked like on your TV, but on my TV, he took up every single inch of my daggone sharp television I have in my house. So I don't know what. I know he hasn't been able to practice because he's been injured, but he looked large out there. So integrating him in, getting his weight down, getting his cardio up, as well as the same with Brian Waters. I saw them integrating Brian Waters, and I don't know. I didn't think Mackenzie Bernardo played it, but I didn't think the offensive line played bad at all. And as a matter of fact, all early, I'm gonna say this now because we were really critical on Doug Free, but he has played. He's been quiet, and that's what you like out of your right tackle. You like that out of any position on the offensive line, to be honest with you. He's played tough. He's played a really good right tackle this year so far. So knock on wood. Hopefully he's not. We'll see more of it. Now, the rookie, my boy Travis Frederick, and I'll be the first to admit that he didn't have a great game. Now, he didn't have a bad game, but when he let Dontari Poe come up the middle free on Tony Romo that play, and he extended himself, but I don't think he didn't drive into it, and then Poe came in with a nice hand fighting, it's just a nice swim almost, and got right to the quarterback, past him, boom, touchdown. Now there was another play where I thought I'm listening to the game and I'm hearing it. I got the surround sound going, screaming, and I'm hearing Tony make the call at the line, and I could have swore I heard him say down, down, down to the line of scrimmage, and I thought, now I don't know their calls, so I'm speculating, but I thought that was an offensive line call, and it was a down block. Now, what I saw during that play, I saw the line blocked down. And that's exactly what did happen. Now, so I don't know if that down was for them. I'm assuming it was, but he did call an audible. He shaded the line to the left. The problem was on the second post sack, and watch it and listen to it. Everybody blocked down except the right side of the line. So the right side of the line let Poe come free because that's what would have normally been, the nose tackle would have normally been Frederick's guy. He blocked down, and Poe came right in for the second sack. So those little things, I mean, there's not a whole lot to clean up here. You can't ask for a better defensive game. I mean, switching over to the 4-3, let's just take a look at this real quick. Look at the NFC East right now. If any of you guys were, and fortunately for me, I'm able to watch it with all these different devices that I got going, carrying these games, and the DirecTV package and all this stuff I got going, games rewind and coaches film and all that stuff that I'm doing. I'm able to watch all these games. You take a look. If you want to feel a little bit better, then I'm taking my own medicine here as I'm talking to you guys. So this is live stuff here. So I'm taking my own medicine. You want to feel a little bit better about this week? Look at the raggedy NFC East division defensively. It is awful. Awful. The Eagles' defense is a sieve. I mean, it's now we're gonna end up playing Phillip Rivers, but before we get to that, fourth game, we got the Rams coming up. So, and they're pretty much gonna be, to me, they're a mirror of what you saw this week. A bunch of, they don't have the Jamal Charles, but they got some players out there who are some pretty nice players. Defense is gonna play hard and play tough, but take a look at the Eagles' defense. Take a look at the Giants. Take a look at the Redskins. That game was 30-0 or so at one point. Those defenses that we are, if our defense can just tighten up a little bit, we can go out there with these guys and shut them down. They're not good teams. So the good thing about this game, I guess in summary, or a good thing about this team is I have not seen a better NFC East team. So we have a chance to win a division. We will have a chance. And even if we play like we played against Kansas City, not being able to run the football, but playing stout defense and holding teams to 17 points, we'll be okay. You gotta like what you seen on defense. I'm not happy with the run game. I'm not happy with the screen call. I'm throwing the ball up to Dez and taking my chance. I'd rather see a pick six trying to go to Dez than see a raggedy screen being ran by a rookie hasn't shown to be a screen guy. Now, those are plays that we need to integrate into the game earlier, or more consistently. I need to see a screen pass to Dez Bryant. Why can't I see a screen to Dez? And the last play of the game, last thing I'm gonna say about this game, because I'm starting to get mad now. I was getting happy, now I'm starting to get angry again. The last play of the game, why are we throwing the ball to DeMarco Murray? I don't care if you put Dez at the fullback spot and do that play with Dez. Give it to a playmaker. Give it to somebody who can make something happen. Don't give it to the guy who was pretty much, he was the main reason why you were inefficient offensively in the game. I didn't understand that. Last couple seconds of the game, he throw a swing pass. Man, if I'm going out throwing, to the best player on my team. But at any rate, guys, it wasn't a good win. Yes, I'm upset. I'm pissed. But I'm not jumping off the bandwagon, a 1-point loss on the road in one of the hardest places to win in sports, or at least one of the most violent, football violent places to play in the league. So I'm not going to go crazy about it. I'm disappointed we're not 2-0. Next week, you know what you got to do. You got to beat the Rams. Thanks for listening. Guys, hopefully next week's a better week. We got a good chance to see a game Thursday coming up. It'll be nice to see this Kansas City Chiefs team play the Eagles on NFL Network. So you get a chance to see. Maybe they're 3-0. Maybe the Eagles find a way to beat them. Who knows what happens? But at least you'll have a measuring stick and you'll be able to see. We'll have a little bit of a little bit of interest in that game because we just played Kansas City. Guys, I'm out of here. And maybe Thursday or so, or Thursday or Friday, I'll try to get my pregame show once I watch some more film on the St. Louis Rams and get it out to you guys ASAP. Guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, click the definitely fill up the comment sections with anything that you want to add in. Definitely click the like button and subscribe to the page, guys. I'm out of here.